then focus on one particular object.
Right.
Very appealing, right, for the eyes, right?
Wow. Okay.
So that for a lot of people, the modern and minimalist design will look better on Instagram compared to something that's complicated with green and a lot of ornaments. That's looks old.
Oh my god.
Old, right?
That is actually quite that's good insight.
Yeah.
The frame of Instagram made it such that more brutal, more modern, more of those Mediterranean things will look better. Wow. Okay.
If you notice on Instagram, for people that take a photo in a villa, they would take something like a very wide wall, and then there's some maybe an arc or a plant, or
it frames the thing very well.
It looks like a studio photo.
This is Bayu. Bayu and I are co-founders of Bukit Vista. We've been working together since the beginning. Bayu joined the company as a host, and since that time, he's risen through the ranks from shooting content to answering inquiries from all kinds of guests to becoming a chief technology officer, and currently he serves as the strategy officer at Bukit Vista. Bayu and his amazing engineering team have invented such beautiful core technologies at Bukit Vista, including the bigger database, the Data Vista data visualization system, Aether, our heat map, BVGo, our mobile app for partners to monitor and check what's going on in their properties. Bayu, he's a genius, and he has a daughter. His daughter name is Kana, and when Kana sees me, her face just shows one of pure terror. I'm not sure what Bayu says about me when I'm not there to Kana, because I think my daughter likes Bayu. This is my daughter. Welcome to another episode of the Bali Business Review. We're going to start here at the Bukit Vista office. So, Bayu brought up a really good point about how the design and architecture of a building lends to its ability to appear online. So, this concept is really powerful for a reason. Because at some point, very early in the 2010s, there were some architects and some designers who anticipated the overwhelming and radically genius approach towards design centering around the guest experience. And it is not something that is well understood, even to this day. Instead of talking about it more, let me bring you somewhere that actually took the idea. I don't know what the right word for it would be. What's the right word? Instagrammable. Okay, let's just use that. But before there was Instagram, there were already people thinking about how to make things Instagrammable. So this idea, building and using design vernacular with the intention of portraying the traveler as a protagonist, portraying the traveler as part of that experience, was first pioneered probably here. This is the Alila Hotel in Uluwatu. The Alila Hotel comes from an esteemed and acclaimed heritage of architects that had been building very faithful representations of architecture dedicated to Balinese principles. And when Woha, the architectural firm, came up with this white, boxy look here in the otherwise savanna landscape of Uluwatu, they drew a lot of criticism. Because it was so shocking and so avant-garde at the time. Nobody really understood it. And it was hard to understand. How is any of this decor, how is any of this design Balinese? I mean, there are very few straight lines and these sort of features that you would see in traditional Balinese architecture, and there's abundance of this type of design and line here. But as I think the Alila people figured out, as these people you can see figuring out right here, right now, is that the component of what makes a hospitality experience unique is the way that you can frame yourself into the actual experience, like these folks are doing over here. Basically, this type of design, you can see myself in it right now, right? Really frames the guest as a subject in the design. The walls, the framing, the whole thing creates these really, really beautiful photogenic alleyways, and it reveals itself in almost like a cinematic fashion, as you can see right now. And the architecture that was developed here was one in which there was, I would say, a difference in direction. And the difference in direction was that instead of having the guest and the occupant of the hotel focus on, let's say, the hotel itself, they would focus on ornamentation, lots of heavily designed, ornate carvings, decoration. And this ornamentation was good, but it also distracted from putting the subject. It would distract it from putting the subject as a key center.
Okay, the truth is I'm kind of stumbling right here. Let's go back to Bayu in the car ride. I think he had the right idea in the first place. Bayu, explain it to us.
People will come to Bali to see Balinese architect.
That's the way it should have been.
I suspected that actually changed because of the market demand as well.
Yeah.
As with the rise of Instagram. Right?
Yes.
Yeah, so in Instagram, everything is photography.
Yes.
And in photography or design, basically, everything that looks clean and then focus on one particular object are very appealing, right, for the eyes, right?
Wow. Okay.
So that for a lot of people, the modern and minimalist design will look better on Instagram compared to something that's complicated with green and a lot of ornaments. That's old. That
oh my
looks
God.
old, right?
That is the frame of Instagram made it such that more brutal, more modern, more of those Mediterranean things will look better. Wow. Wow. Okay.
If you notice on Instagram, people that take a photo in a villa, they would take something like a very wide wall, and then there's maybe an arc or a plant, or
it frames the thing very well.
So it looks like a studio photo. It's not like an architectural photo.
Oh my God, you're right. You're right. And that kind of reminds me of back in the day in the experience at La Jolla. People literally came there to make the property their studio. Remember? Yeah. They would. Yeah. I really saw the. Yeah, and I have another. Let me riff on your idea. Do you think smaller screens make the details more unimportant in terms of, it's like, let's say a lot of Balinese architecture is fine details, but if you look at that on a small screen, it's just messy, right? It looks like kind of a blur.
Noise.
Yeah, it looks like noise.
I think so. I think that would help with that, actually.
That's unfortunate. So larger screens and larger format then create a higher appreciation for detail, but smaller screens turns details into noise and distraction. Okay, fascinating. All right, so basically, I guess before Instagram, I think design appreciation had to be done. Awareness was probably done, through magazines or through in person. There was a greater sense of discovery before you actually experienced something, because you would have to actually see it in real life first, right? But then I think what happened with let's say the rise of the internet in the 2010s is that discovery became the competitive battlefield. So basically, if you weren't getting enough attention online, you could never really even be discovered offline because of this phenomenon. Wow, yeah. It's kind of funny because I think about it, and then later on, I think the industry became more conscious about setting up what we call Instagram traps. Like, here's a place where you can take a selfie, right? But what probably the really wise architects understood is that maybe the entire hotel is an Instagram trap, right? Okay.
I guess majority of the people or the demand is not an expert in architecture. So that is a very simple drive, basically. I want to go there. I want to take a photo with same style.
Yeah.
I want to be in that type of property.
Correct.
So that type of property will get a lot of demand, and business owner or investor will follow that because the demand is there.
Correct.
Then architect will follow because of the clients.
Correct.
So I guess that's my theory, at least.
I think that has a lot of that's an excellent theory, Bayu. I can't wait to label that. You know what I'm going to say, right?
What is it?
It's pack journalism. It's pack journalism. So the overwhelming cultural tendency in Indonesia is that people go to recapture a iconic, I think, picture or moment that somebody else has pioneered. It's almost like opinion leadership through Instagram. Yeah. Oh, I've been there too. Which strangely reminiscent of older tourists, right? I would say kind of like the 1950s tourists. I need a picture next to the Eiffel Tower. So, okay. And that drives a positive feedback cycle through the internet that then I guess defines the zeitgeist of that era. Okay, yeah.
This is an early prototype of how somebody made the hotel into a studio, made the entire hotel into a backdrop that supported incredible photography and transmission along social media, along digital media, along the internet, such that now you're inviting pack journalism. You're inviting a method by which each of your users, each of the people who are coming to stay at your hotel is now taking these beautiful pictures with the hotel as a background, with themselves as the foreground, and they're transmitting this through their mobile applications, through digital media, through all these different forms across the internet. And so now you're getting all this free advertising, you're getting all this expanded pack journalism coverage of your property through this behavior, which was brilliant. It was absolutely genius at the time because nobody was thinking about how to build a hotel around what the photographs would look like. And you can see some of these design elements, such as the infinity edge pool, some of these slotted cabanas, some of those overhangs like that one over there that then became iconic. It became iconic because it invited the guests themselves to take photos and other media of themselves in the property, thereby elevating the property too. Because who doesn't like a good video of themselves? I hope you enjoyed this episode, and this was a fitting explanation for how Instagram took over. Architecture seemed to get moved away from the opinions of experts and the intentionality of experts into the masses. Well, hopefully with a bit of Chihitakana we can fix this. If you like this channel, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we look forward to seeing you on a future episode.